Welcome to Real Estate Game Changers Radio, featuring real estate trendsetters and industry influencers, sharing tips and strategies to help home buyers and home sellers get the most out of their next real estate transaction. Now, here's your host, Suzanne Doyle Ingram.
This is Suzanne Doyle Ingram, your host of Real Estate Game Changers Radio, and we have a great guest on the show today. I'm so excited to have him. His name's Rob Jensen, and he's the president and the broker-owner of Rob Jensen Company in Las Vegas, and he works in Summerlin, Las Vegas, and Henderson. And his firm is considered the go-to agency for discerning home buyers and sellers. So today on the show, we're going to focus on high-end luxury real estate, and I can't wait to talk about it. And now, Rob's been in the business for 14 years, and he's quite a sought-after real estate expert with the media. He's been a guest commentator for numerous national broadcast television networks, including MSNBC and BRAVO, and he's also provided content and commentary to the Wall Street Journal, Forbes.com, BusinessWeek.com, the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Real Estate Executive Magazine, Growing Wealth Magazine, the Los Angeles Times. I could go on and on and on, but I don't want to cut into our time that we have for the interview. So I want to introduce you to our wonderful guest. Thanks for being on the show, Rob.
Good morning, Suzanne. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, I'm so excited to pick your brain and talk to you about luxury real estate in Las Vegas. I can't wait. But first, I want to start off with asking you, what do you love about your career in real estate?
Well, for me, it's definitely the fact that I get to meet a lot of interesting and very smart people. And because everybody is so different and their requirements and their needs and their wants are so different, it just makes every day interesting, and it really requires a lot of problem solving on my end to help them.
Oh, I bet it does. Yeah. So tell us about, now, have you been selling real estate in Las Vegas itself for 14 years? Is that right?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. And
yep,
what's
Las
that
Vegas,
like?
Summerlin. It's funny because when people generally come to Las Vegas, they think of it as just the Strip and that corridor with, all the fun and excitement and action that Las Vegas is known for. But when you get out to the west side of town, like Summerlin, which is nestled amongst this beautiful landscape of Red Rock National Park, or perhaps the southeast over in Henderson, which is out by Lake Mead and Black Mountain, you've just got these own vibrant communities, and it's pretty nice because everything's pretty much new, and the houses are new, the restaurants are new, and it's a really exciting place to live. I think it's almost an undiscovered gem.
That's amazing. Now, if you've been there for 14 years, I think that there was quite a dip when the economy kind of suffered in 2007, 2008, 2009, and how is it different now from then?
It's definitely come back quite a bit. That first bump in the boom years involved really just a lot of speculation. As prices went up, a lot of people were just buying like crazy to flip homes and make money. And now the new construction is back. There's a lot of growth. There's a lot of buying, and the market is strong, but you don't see it as investor driven. It's not so much about everyone. Your plumber back in the boom years, the plumber owned 5 homes, and so did the taxi driver and everyone, and clearly that was an indication of everyone being over leveraged. But now it seems to be more of a stable, not investor driven market, but just people buying again and economy doing well.
Great, good. So tell me about the luxury real estate market in Las Vegas.
It's very exciting, and the market that we service is predominantly, we focus in 43 guard-gated and select-gated communities. And that guard is what really gives people a sense of security, not just a sense that provides security, as well as more privacy. And so the overwhelming majority of high-end luxury homes are behind a guard gate, whether that be in the Ridges in Summerlin or McDonald Highlands in Henderson. So that's where it all starts. And behind these guards, some of these communities are on golf courses, some are not, and you just sort of have this whole gamut of style. What's really popular right now is full modern right now, which is, we went from contemporary to more modern, and that's really popular.
Oh, nice.
And these homes are just spectacular. You've got infinity edge pools with waterfalls coming down from the second floor.
Oh, my goodness.
All kinds of, oh, yeah.
That's amazing.
state-of-the-art home theaters that are literally, some of these folks have put $500,000 into their home theaters with THX systems.
Oh my goodness.
You've got bowling alleys, just gyms, it's incredible what people are building these days.
Oh, I would love to see that. I think that would be so amazing to see some of those things is there anything that you've seen that you never had thought of before and you're like, wow, that's such a great idea?
It actually happens so much that it almost like nothing stands out.
It kind of numbs you after a while, I guess.
Yeah, Vegas just seems to be one of those places where people like to push the envelope and continue to reinvent. You see it with casinos. Casino, once it's more like 20 years old, they blow it up.
Yeah.
And they build a new one. And in the restaurants here, you'll see that every so often. They'll do a multi-million-dollar remodel. And Vegas, they do the annual home builder conference here, and so it's quite common they have the home of the year that they built here that pushes a lot of technology and style and pocket door automation, and it just seems like the architects, the builders, the vendors, they're always pushing the envelope. And for example, one of these homes in the Ridges, it had this sort of drawbridge almost where it could come up and you could walk across the pool, or it could then, to get to the other side of the yard, or it could just go back down.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Just everything. It's really spectacular, the homes that are getting built out here.
And who are these people that are building these homes and buying these homes?
Yeah, it runs the whole gamut, from local executives, whether, it's business servicing the local gaming industry, whether they're in the gaming business or the food business, or businesses nationwide. It's because Nevada has no state tax, it's very favorable for people to set up residency and run businesses here. So you get a lot of executive business folks. Obviously, there's plenty of entertainers and athletes and sort of the whole gamut of folks out here.
Oh, that's really neat. And are most of the people that you work with families with children?
A good amount do have families and children. It isn't rare that, quite often there are celebrities that might be single or just dating at the time when we meet, and they're buying a pretty fabulous, amazing home to help show off their lifestyle and their success. And who knows, maybe eventually they'll have a family. And there are plenty of families as well. It's pretty common. We work with, let's say most of them are families.
Interesting. Okay, so I know that when you have discerning buyers, one thing that we talked about before is how you don't like to waste people's time. You want to make sure that your clients are your top priority, and your motto is we always deliver what we promise. So what are some of the, when people say this is what I'm looking for in a house, like regular people might say I need 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, but what are some of the wants and needs that your luxury clients have?
Views is probably at the top of the list.
Oh, okay, interesting. What's the view of the Strip or grass or what?
Exactly. So Vegas the Strip sits in a valley. So as you go up the west side of town to Summerlin, or even up the hills in Henderson towards Anthem Country Club, it provides this slope. So you can get, some of these homes out there have just spectacular views of the Strip. Other people prefer mountain views, so, Red Rock Country Club or the Ridges, some of those lots back to the BLM conservation area, and they prefer, they have the Strip all the time, so they prefer a little more serenity of the mountains behind them.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's a lot of golf courses too, and just the idea, typically in Las Vegas, one thing that's sort of a little different to people when they are new to Vegas looking at homes is that lots here generally aren't that big. On custom home lots, a half acre is pretty good. Sometimes they're bigger, sometimes a bit smaller, usually a little bit smaller. So people come to look at these homes that are, 8 to 10,000 square feet, and generally they're not on a lot of space. So being on a golf course, it really helps open up the backyard and gives you a little more room and grass too.
Yeah. And I like what you said about serenity. I guess if they have a lifestyle, if their work life is, they're running a really busy restaurant, or they're working in the gaming industry, or they're an executive that works 12 hours a day, when they come home, they just want serenity.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's why I think you're just seeing a lot of these amenities done at home as well, with spas and steam showers, and just the fact where it's kind of nice, where if people want to unwind and whatever that looks like, they don't have to come home and change and go back out and get in the car and go do stuff. It just makes their whole home their sanctuary almost.
Yeah. Do you work with a lot of cash buyers, or is it sort of easier when you're working with really uber wealthy people?
It's yes and no. It's easy because most of them are cash and they have the means to buy what they want. Mm-hmm. It's just really finding them what they want, which is what we excel at. However, they generally have some pretty high expectations of what they're looking for, whether it's the floor plan or the amenities or the layout or the view, and also, privacy. Certain lots don't offer privacy if you've got someone towering over your backyard, or even if you're on the golf course. Certain golf course lots have an elevated, cart path in your backyard. So knowing the communities and knowing what they have to offer and the streets and the layouts and the views, it really helps us cut to the chase and kind of hone in on what they want, or at least where they should be looking.
Yeah, and I guess it starts with communication with them and figuring out what exactly they're going to be happy with.
Yeah, absolutely. And that usually starts with preferably sitting down together in the office, or if they're out of town, at least a conference call with all the decision makers, so we can do our best to make everyone happy.
Yeah, that sounds like, because I'm just assuming the more money you have, when you have a lifestyle where you can have anything you want, you pretty much know exactly what you want and you won't take anything less. Is that kind of average, do you think?
Right. Well, you hit it right there on the head with the fact, the challenging part you can say about luxury real estate is these folks rarely have a lot of urgency to buy. Now, sometimes, it's a relocation or something along the lines where there's more urgency to buy a place, or, hey, we're going to sell this business. We need to establish our residency in Vegas and get that ball rolling. Mm-hmm. So there's more urgency. But more often than not, these folks already have a beautiful home they're living in, and they have very busy lives with their business and soccer practice and homework or whatever that looks like. Mm-hmm. And so if they don't find something that really strikes them or, inspires them to go through the process of moving, then yeah, there's not necessarily always a lot of motivation there.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me a story about someone you've worked with? I don't know if you could divulge famous people, but just walk me through someone that you've worked with to help them find a home.
So, that's a good question. Let me think of someone. I'm trying to think of someone more recently. So recently there's a celebrity that we're working with that's, he's on TV and in the process of, opening they've got some exciting stuff going on in Vegas right now that'll be in the news eventually.
Ooh, I love the way you're teasing us, but not quite divulging anything. Okay, go on.
Very
I'm
much
going to imagine. Okay.
Yeah, and so, originally this person, we had met with probably a good year ago or so and talked about selling their home. It was on the market briefly, and then with their schedule and stuff, we took it off the market because it was just kind of, there was too much going on. Well, I just so happened to have another client, some really great folks that were moving here and some friends that I just knew this home would be perfect for them. They've got a family, and this home has a big basketball court on the side of the house, which is great for the kids because the school's on the other side. And so anyways, we did this deal off the market, so we helped sell the house while it wasn't even in the MLS. So that was nice. We didn't have to deal with a lot of showings and that headache.
Yeah.
And in the interim, while my client, who was the seller on that side, now became the buyer, we had to find something pretty fast because there was motivation to, not live in a hotel room, basically, and they didn't want to end up in a rental. So while they were in the midst of dealing with their new business ventures and the show, we had to do a lot of legwork and help really fine-tune what, really roll up our sleeves and pull stuff that I knew that wasn't on the market, stuff that was on the market, and just really, find that house. And we did. It's great. We're in contract and we'll be closing, and hopefully by the end of the month is the plan.
That's great.
There
and
was
I think something that you mentioned that's really important is the really successful realtors that I talk with. They have this invisible network. They don't just go and let's look on the MLS for a 3-bedroom house. You have people you call and you say, hey, you know what? I know you were thinking about selling and I've got a buyer. I think that's really, it sounds like wheeling and dealing, but I think that's really what someone is going to want to have in a realtor.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where, like 14 years in this business, I just bring this market knowledge where, it's easy for people, and it's obviously popular for people to go on Zillow and plug in or any other website and plug in their criteria of a 5-bedroom, and they can kind of poke around and look at photos. Mm-hmm. But I've been in most of these homes in these neighborhoods, and I've seen the views in the streets. And and I've talked to these sellers, and there's stuff that whether I know them because they've talked to me about potentially selling, or maybe it was an expired listing that they tried to sell at one point. It's just knowing having an agent that really knows the inventory and knows the market is going to be really helpful to, help the buyers get whatever they
Especially someone kind of famous like you who's been in all the media. I'm sure you're going to be more well known since you're out there and you're seen as an expert by being interviewed in Los Angeles Times and things like that. So, and plus I noticed that you have a monthly real estate column in the Las Vegas Business Press. So that gets you out there too.
It does. We've actually shifted. I haven't been writing that column anymore, so I maybe didn't give you the most updated bio.
No, that's okay.
We've switched it to our own newsletter. So we put out a monthly newsletter that goes out to over 10,000 guard-gated homeowners, current and past clients, as well as active buyers.
Wow. How many? Did you say 10,000?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That's great. Well, you'll have to let them know that you were interviewed on a radio show.
Oh, absolutely. We'll look forward to sharing this one in our next, on all our social media and website as well.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, shifting gears a little bit, about your business model, because first of all, I'd like to ask you about your team and how many team members you have, and about your brokerage, and how it's different than others.
Perfect. So to jump right in and to go along with the theme of your show, Real Estate Game Changers, we're game changers it's a twofold answer. For step one is our focus is the 43 guard-gated and select-gated communities that we serve in Summerlin, Las Vegas, and Henderson, Nevada. And that's it. That's what we do. And and because we specialize in it, we can go deeper, we can know more, and do a better job servicing folks that have something that want to buy or sell. And
absolutely.
The second part of that answer is, the traditional real estate model is that these brokerages, everyone's an independent contractor out there. So essentially they're all doing their own thing. Where my brokerage, the Rob Jensen Company, we have employees and we all work together as a team to help our clients.
Oh, that's great.
So, it really provides a whole nother level of service. Our competitors, they're nice folks, knowledgeable folks, but most of them are wearing many hats and just, trying to probably spread a little too thin, where we've got a great team that just helps from everything from servicing our clients with getting things marketed and, advertised and shown, and feedback and negotiations and closings. There's this sort of evolution of real estate. There was first everyone was on their own, and you're starting to see more teams. But our full business model is where things are ultimately, I'd say, headed, because that's the only way you can do the best job for your client.
Absolutely. And would you say it's somewhat of a concierge kind of service? Yeah.
We definitely go out of our way to help our clients. Yesterday we were out changing some light bulbs for a home in Red Rock, which is vacant. And those homeowners actually happen to live on the same street, but they've got another.
I'm sorry, but that sounds so funny. So instead of walking down the street to change the light bulbs, you drove all the way over there to change the light bulbs?
Yeah, I mean, we just didn't even bother them. We,
Oh, that's
you know,
great.
from one of our showings, yeah, one of our team members or showing agents had reported that there was a light bulb out, and the sellers, they're great folks. They're busy with some other stuff right now, so
Yeah, you just take
Kyle,
care
our
of it for them,
marketing
right?
guy, just ran over there and
Yeah.
took care of it.
That's awesome. I do the same thing with my business sometimes, where I realize something that would take me 2 minutes might take one of my clients, you know, an hour because they don't exactly know how to do it. So I'm like, let me just do it for you, you know, just don't worry about it. And I think that's what makes you successful in real estate, is just taking care of people. And also I'm sure that sometimes you just have to tell it like it is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's I'd say one of my hallmark traits is just that I'm honest, and it quite often can feel like a bit of tough love, especially when you're meeting with sellers and for whatever reason maybe they've overimproved their home or they bought it or built it at the wrong, you know, not the most optimal time. But it's common that a lot of folks are just out there on the market. Well, this doesn't actually pertain to price either. I mean, this has to do with staging, with timing, with everything. So I'm just going to be honest with folks, because I know what it takes to get, you know, for them to get to get the job done, and that's it. That's all I can do.
Yeah, and does that happen a lot, where you take over someone else's listing and then you just go boom and go do this, and this and sell it?
It's been pretty popular lately. We've been getting more and more of these sellers that are these expired listings, and whether they originally, it's pretty common that they maybe had hired a friend first, or someone they kind of knew, you know. And hey, I don't blame them for wanting to help someone out, but it just never seems to really work out well, because that agent just generally doesn't have the experience or the connections or the marketing systems in place to get the results you need. And yeah, so usually we'll come in, I'll have my stager come in and look at the place. I'll usually bring in an appraiser, just sort of the whole gamut, and just, you know, make sure when we come back on the market and reintroduce the property that we do it properly, because it doesn't take a year to sell a home. At least it shouldn't.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's critical you get it all done. You make the most of your first impression.
And I think one other thing that you do when you're saying, you know, you talk to them about price and staging and everything, but also, like you said, tell the truth and give them a little bit of tough love. And I think there's a lot of people out there that'll just say what the client wants to hear. Oh, yes, Mr. Smith, whatever you say, Mr. Smith. But you're going to say, actually, no, I'm really good at what I do, and I know what I'm talking about, and this is the way we need to do it. And the person goes, okay.
Yeah, no, and sometimes they don't always, I mean, sometimes they just don't sell.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that too, because you know, it's not going to do me any good or them any good to just put their home, to just waste everyone's time. I mean, we actually met with another high-profile person the other day that I actually had to even sign a confidentiality agreement to not talk about.
Yeah.
But it was just a similar situation, you know, incredible home, and on top of what they put on into the home and everything, it's just they weren't going to be able to get what they want. And I just, hey, here's sort of the best of what you could probably do, and this is most likely. And they just said, all right, forget it, I'm not selling.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's great. And it's just such a waste of everyone's time when when a home is overpriced. And it's amazing how many people do that because they just want the listing. I don't know what it is. I don't understand. It seems like a waste of time to me.
Yeah, you have, I think there's both sides of the coin there. You know, sometimes there's agents that, they just want the listing. They want the sign in the yard because, hey, someone might call about that house and they might sell them something else. So maybe the agent sort of has some ulterior motive about taking it. Other times there's sellers that will talk the agent into the higher price for whatever, I mean.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a very good business strategy to me. Switching gears here, I want to know, you've had a very successful career in real estate, but what made you decide to go into real estate?
I've just always enjoyed sales. I've back when I was a kid, I used to, whether it was selling gum or fireworks or, that kind of stuff, just little kid business type things that you do. Yeah. It's just always been fun for me, and then that kind of paired along with just being in the service industry for a little bit in college and whatnot. It just was sort of this perfect blend. It allowed me to get out and, you know, help people, but meet different people, and just sort of have this variety of, like I mentioned earlier, that problem solving, but yet also sort of wheeling and dealing too. It just was this natural fit that just seemed destined.
I just love real estate. I really should be a realtor, because every time I talk to realtors, I get all excited and I think, oh, I would be so good if I was in real estate. But I also, you know, my real company, this is kind of a bit of a hobby for me, this show, but I publish books and I help people write books. And so I love that too. But I mean, I don't know, I grew up in a real estate family, so to me it's in my blood, but I think it's so exciting and such a great way of, you know, being in service to people and still, you know, making a good living.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Oh, yeah, it's fun. It creates, I just enjoy it. And then as the people change and the market changes too. I mean, Vegas right now, it you know, it's getting its own hockey team.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and there's still, I think it's happening, but I don't know if it's totally happening, but I think the Raiders might still be coming here as well. So it's just really, the city continues to grow.
It's exciting. I'm going to be there soon, actually. So wanted to ask you another thing. We talked about, you know, obviously selling high-end real estate. You've been very successful and financially successful. So what do you do to give back to your community?
So we actually take part in a variety of charities, and, you know, a lot of these charities we've actually been introduced to from clients because we kind of find it a nice way to sort of share the love.
Oh, and, good.
You know, participate. And some of those have ranged from, you know, more recently, the NAPI, that's a Indian physician, big group that does a lot of free work for people, to Smiles for Survivors, that helps people with smiles and whatnot, because after people go through cancer treatment, it basically ruins their teeth.
Oh, you know, I didn't know that. Oh my gosh, that's great.
Yeah, and then there was a girl from Habitat for Humanity. We've hosted, you know, the neat thing too with doing what I do with luxury real estate is it gives us an opportunity to provide some pretty incredible venues for these events, for these fundraisers as well. So whether it's Habitat for Humanity or the things with, like, the Boys Town, or just these other, you know, popular charities, you can hold these galas and these events or these, you know, whatever.
Oh, that
at
sounds
these
fantastic.
high-end luxury homes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we've got sort of staples that we give to, and then there's times where a client might tell us about a different charity they're a part of, and times we'll sort of, like I said, share the love and give back. Because at the end of the day, I've been really super fortunate to just be where I'm at in life and have the business and the friends and the health and the life that I do, and so it's really nice to be able to do something for others.
Oh, I know. I totally agree. I'm the same way with helping out with the food bank in my town, and it's amazing how much need there is in our communities. We can just sort of go along, drive in the minivan and taking the kids to school and driving around and having this privileged life where doing anything we want, basically. And then when you start volunteering and giving back to your community, realize, wow, there's a lot of need here. Yeah,
well, it's like, I don't know if this kind of makes me think about Tony Robbins, or just when I'm out there in these high-end homes, it's easy to get caught into new toys that I want, like, oh, I want this, or this is so cool, or I want, you know, this theater thing, or this surround sound. Mm-hmm. But when you give, you know, when you help and give, it gets you out of your own head and thinking about others, and that's just being in that state of gratitude, which
Absolutely.
is much more healthy.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. That's for absolute sure. So listen, this has been a wonderful interview. I have so much more I want to ask you, but we're kind of coming to the end of our time. But we talked a little bit about your guiding, well, about what makes you a real estate game changer, and I think that's really your, the way that you work as a team, and giving back definitely makes you a game changer in my eyes. But tell me just briefly a little bit about what your guiding principles are, the way that you run your brokerage.
Well, yeah, so definitely, like I said, or touched on earlier, with definitely being honest, saying it how it is,
mm-hmm.
and then always just doing everything, with the client's best interest in heart. I mean, all the way down the line, whatever that looks like. Sometimes a client might be better serviced to take their home off the market and not sell it right now or something, or
mm-hmm.
or there's a tax reason to rent it out, or whatever. I guess it's just whatever it is. It's just the client always comes first, and whatever that looks like.
Oh, that's a good point. Even if it means walking away from a sale and not making any money, you're going to do the right thing.
Yeah, exactly. Or it means I'm helping them negotiate a deal at 10 p.m. on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
Or it's a holiday. I mean, it's just, we just always do the best we can for our clients, and we understand that whatever their circumstances is or life situations are, they're busy and they may not always be available. And so between our market expertise and being honest and being available for them and doing the best we can, I mean, it's just all about the customer, literally almost to a fault.
Oh, that's great. But that's good. That's good to put the customer first. So this has been great. Thank you so much for your time today. Can you let our listeners know how to reach you if they want to get a hold of you about luxury real estate in Las Vegas?
Absolutely. Our website is robjensen.com. That's ROBJENSEN.com. And you can find all our social media links and phone numbers there. So just find us at robjensen.com.
Oh, that's perfect. That's great. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Susan.
This has been another episode of Real Estate Game Changers Radio with your host, Suzanne Doyle Ingram. To hear all episodes featuring our hand-picked real estate game changers, visit us online at www.realestategamechangersradio.com.